Hi guys,
Hello
we're back
again.
again. This is quite possibly the last video of us two together this year, isn't it?
It will be, yeah.
because we're not going to see each other
No.
until New Year.
No.
Aww. But
It's a doozy.
yes,
Because
but there's plenty of time next year, isn't there?
there is.
Yes.
Because we're talking about
Poldark,
Mr. Poldark.
Um,
Or, aka, how many times can you fuck up and people will forgive you?
That should have been the tagline today, shouldn't it? Let's just put that under the... Right. So, we did
everybody count. Can you count on your fingers how many times this man messes up? Because he does.
He does. He messes up quite incredibly.
It's like the series was like an endurance test. Like, how much can you hold on to your love for this idiot?
True. But we did a video at the very beginning with the series, didn't we?
Because then
we did. It was, I think,
August or September.
It was. I think the second episode was just airing that day or something. It was something. It was something like that because I think it was that you were going home that day, and the second episode was that evening or something.
It was a Friday that I came, because I usually come on Friday.
Oh yes, yes, we shot it earlier, didn't we? In your visit, sorry.
Yeah.
But it was the week that the second episode was gonna air.
Yeah.
So we just focused on the first episode, and even though you had been over a couple of times while it was still airing, we wanted to wait until the series was over to talk about it.
And now it's over.
And now it's over, and we've finally been able to get together, and of course it's now out on DVD.
Which I still don't own yet because they want £18 for it.
Yes,
I'm
but
not paying £18.
Yes, but wait until the January sales.
Yes, I know.
It'll be fine. But yeah, we want to talk about series 2, particular of Poldark. I'll put a link to our video of episode 1 because obviously that we talked very much in depth about that particular episode.
No, I think
but here we're going to talk about the series entirety. Just as we say with our other videos, if you don't want to be spoiled, turn this video off.
Although to be honest,
you've had your warning, but it has aired internationally,
everywhere.
and so well, it's some people may have not watched it yet.
No, that's true.
So if you don't want to be spoiled, turn this video off. Okay, so let's begin now. Should we start at let's put it this way: Ross's mess up number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way to trillion.
His lack of self-awareness is literally horrific. Like, I've never ever...
Can we change the tagline to say Ross's big fuck-ups and how Demelza deals with them? Come on, you have to admit it. He right royally screws everything up multiple times, and Demelza is the one who has to deal with it, not just from him, but from everyone around her, every level of society, and she still stands there and she goes, bring it.
I think she's... I was talking to some of my friends who also love Poldark, and I realised in America, our friends over there, and I realised that there is a pattern to his fuck-ups. Basically, something happens, puts him in a horrendous mood, and then he makes a mistake or a decision that has consequences for the rest of his life.
And you can see it from the very beginning.
Absolutely.
And I've read that decision when he gets angry at Demelza for wearing the dress. Yes. And then he makes the decision to go...
To kiss her.
To
sleep with her. To marry her. To have babies with her.
Exactly. It's kind of... It flows all the way through.
Has the baby dies, there's the shipwreck, there's the trial, da-da-da-da-da-da. He keeps... doing it. He's a man who acts out of emotion instead of sense. Yeah. And he needs his emotions diluting by sense. And thank Christ his wife has some, because he hasn't.
Yes, that's very true. Very, very true.
There's nothing I'm saying that's not true. No.
I mean, should we look at individual characters?
Yeah, do you want to do it like that?
Okay, let's do it like that again.
Quite well.
Okay. Should we do Ross first, or should we tackle in a sense a more, even though they're not minor, but in the comparison a more minor character situation first?
I tell you what, let's do the minor characters first.
Okay, can we talk about Dwight Ennis, please?
Love Dwight Ennis.
Dr. Ennis.
Dr. Ennis is lovely.
Right, so at the beginning of the series, he is obviously doctor to the area.
Mm-hmm.
He's gone through the first series scandal of the a woman who he had a fling with, who then was murdered by her husband, and having to deal with that in the society. But everyone seems to have
kind of forgotten about that, really.
Yes, it's kind of been brushed aside in a sense, but it kind of is like in the book in regards to that. Whilst it's happening, the scandal of she's just died and everything, people are a bit wary of him, but they don't ignore him. They still need his services.
Mm-hmm.
So, but he is still respected amongst the people who need his help from.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're going, he's behind his back, he's the guy who caught up in that murder scandal sort of thing. They're like, it's Dr. Ennis.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's just a doctor.
Yeah.
And he's people respect him and that. And he meets a character called Caroline Penvennon, who is staying with her Uncle Ray.
Mm-hmm.
She's from London, raised in London, such and so Cornwall is a bit different for her. But
Cornwall is a backwater to her.
She is one of the most amazing characters for saying what it is. She had the balls to say to George's face what a snake he was.
She calls a spade a spade.
Yeah, in front of everyone, in a very kind of regal-esque manner at a party, and she doesn't care. She's just like, don't give a crap.
Yeah. Yeah, she's very she's a very modern character, but what's so lovely about her chemistry with Dwight is that so is he. Yes. And they have this push-pull between them where they flirt outrageously together. Mm-hmm. Once Dwight has gotten over his bit of a brush pride after she made him attend her dog.
When they first met.
Yeah. But her chemistry with him is so lovely.
The two actors are very, very
and I love how
good together. You can tell they've got a kind of friendship. They've got such a chemistry with each other. It's so natural. It's so easy.
It is. And obviously, towards the end of the series, you could tell Gabriella Wilde was really pregnant because Caroline never stood up. She was always filmed from the neck up.
Or sometimes when you've got the occasional very short, long shot from her, you could see she had a distinct bump.
She really did.
They tried to do as much layering as possible. These huge dresses where you wonder, how on earth was she able to stand up in those moments, let alone stand there whilst heavily pregnant?
The horse ride over the beach was clearly a stunt rider. Yeah. I'm not being...
we're not saying BBC are really messed up or anything
minor things, but it was just obvious that Gabriella Wilde was pregnant. Yeah.
Especially later on in series.
Yes, but she's a great addition to the cast.
I love her, and you get from the books, she and Ross become best of friends. And even that first, they see each other in the village. She's in a horse and cart, and he's walking by, and they just catch eyes, and they just share this quick smile, and it's there.
Yeah.
You don't. There's nothing romantic or anything like that between them. It's just pure friendship, and it's just instant.
And he,
it's kind of like, because she can see people, she understands people. She's going, I can see you, and I like you, and he can see her as well. Mm-hmm. And it's just bam.
And he gets them together in the end.
He does,
basically by telling them to stop being so stubborn, stop being so proud, and if you love each other, get together.
Yeah, and then he went, hang on, why am I not listening to my own advice? Maybe I should go home.
Maybe I should go home and say sorry for doing that really, really bad thing.
Which we will talk about later. But once we've got another characters dealt with. We've got, as we said, Ray Penvennon.
Yeah.
He's
not really in it much, though,
he's not really in it much. And John Nettles, bless him, he comes sometimes with the Cornish twang. He's a bit, he over-exaggerates some words. He kind of goes a bit, but he has such a respect for Demelza. And he really
does, but no respect for Dwight, unfortunately.
No.
Not yet.
No, not yet. Not really yet.
No.
But I love his respect for Demelza.
Yeah.
And especially with what's going on with Ross at the beginning of the series with the trial because of the shipwreck and everything that happened at the end of the first series. Yes, she turned up at his house, supposedly because she fell ill wandering those. But the reason why is that she needs to know about the judge and the procedures.
She wants to know his name.
And, she turns up at Bodmin where the trial is going to be happening, even if Ross told her, you will not go. And she goes, oh yes, of course, Ross, I won't go. Well, of course she's going to go. Yeah. You can't stop your wife from from turning up at your trial because she may never see you again, after the trial.
That's just a mini blip.
Yeah.
In the catastrophic hot shit mess that becomes their marriage.
Anyway, back to Ray Penn and Demelza, because she's got that little friendship.
Yeah.
When she turns up, and he goes, Mrs. Poldark, you're here. And he introduces her to people, which leads to her finding out who the judge is and stuff like that. So you could say that she was using Ray.
Of course she was.
Yeah, but she never, I don't think she ever expected him to turn out to, not that I'm saying she expected him to, open the door and him be evil character or anything, but didn't expect that he would turn out to be a family friend and is someone who she could trust and that kind of thing going forward. Yeah. He's turned out to be quite a
useful person to have around.
A useful person to have around for certain things, but a friend. For her.
I don't know about that.
But going forward, I'm thinking because I've read the book.
Of course you have, yeah.
So,
Anyway, the Ennises are good.
The Ennises are doing good.
They're brilliant.
They're doing good. So Dwight and Caroline are now getting married.
Getting married.
But Ray doesn't know about it.
No, but they've consummated their marriage, haven't they?
Yes, they've consummated their marriage.
They're not actually
married. Okay, pre-marriage. Yeah. They're together. Ray doesn't know about it. He's fallen ill, so Caroline is back living with him. And Dwight went away to war because he had signed up. He enlisted as a doctor because Caroline. He found out Caroline. They fell apart, their relationship and everything, out of events that he had to help Ross with something, and it led to being arrested and all this sort of kind of stuff. All that jazz. So it meant that she went off to London, and then he heard that she was getting engaged, and it was the most. Yeah, well, she wasn't. We know that she wasn't, but he heard it, and it led to this scene, and it broke my heart where he's just stood there in the middle of a field, and he doesn't know what to do, and he just cries, it was just like, oh, bless him. So what does he do? He goes, right, I'm going to go to the army, Navy, and he signs up. And it was just like...
Well, frankly, Dwight is free to do that.
He is, he's free to do that.
Another person in it is not.
And in a sense, he's kind of doing what Ross kind of did to get out of a situation.
Yeah.
Okay, in Ross's situation, he became a soldier because he needed to run away from the law because he was in trouble.
Yeah.
But he was like, because that's how he met Dwight, because Dwight saved his life and patched up that scar that he's got in his face. So it's kind of in a sense something that he's done before, but it's more he wants to learn about medicine in a different way, so he enlists. And then literally the day before he's going to go, that's when Ross turns up and he's brought Caroline with him,
and it's lovely. And it's really
it was perfect. It's kind of one of those moments, and it's played out the exact same way in the book, and you kind of go, that is really cheesy, but it's so sweet. And he tells him about how Caroline's not getting engaged. Well, where's Caroline? She's right behind you. It was just like, but it was so sweet and so cheesy and so wonderful at the same time, So we're feeling good about the Ennises.
They're all right. Francis Poldark.
Oh my God, Francis it
was his death was right. First of all, I've got to say something. I didn't know Kyle Soller was American.
How?
Because I did not know he was American until I saw him in an interview with BBC Breakfast.
Yeah, and you texted me.
He's like,
how is Kyle
speaking
Soller
in this broad American accent, and I'm like, no. No, because this has happened to me before with Paul Dano.
I know. How did you not know that Paul Dano was American?
I didn't know who Paul Dano was until War and Peace. But yeah, he's American, which makes his performance even more brilliant. Because if anybody deserves an acting award from this cast, it's Kyle Soller, in my opinion. I think he was so good as Francis, and he did Francis's journey of redemption, getting out of his depression.
When he starts series 2, he's seriously depressed.
He's suicidal.
He's suicidal.
And he's got a lot on his mind.
Yeah,
and he attempts suicide, but it doesn't work.
Suicide, and it doesn't work because he goes to shoot himself, and the gun sparks, but it jams, and so the bullet doesn't enter him, and he takes that as a sign of I've got a chance here.
I've got more to do.
I've got more to do. He doesn't necessarily have a religious moment of God.
It's not
clearly wants me to. Yeah, it's not an epiphany moment. It's just I've got a chance here to do something, and he has a thing of patching things up with Verity and with Ross after because they're in a very kind of weird place at that moment in time, getting a sturdier relationship with his wife as best as he can. Breaking up with George because George seems so controlled, and he's basically screw you.
There was a moment in the.
What are you laughing at?
There was a moment in the second episode where he was talking to Dwight, and do you remember I messaged you and I was like, "Is it wrong that I shoot them?"
Well, the two of them kind of formed a weird friendship in episode 2 because Dwight found
they were
Francis.
sharing a room.
They were sharing a room, and of course,
and I was
after the suicide attempt went wrong. Obviously, you're still alive, and he opens the door to Dwight and everything, and they have this night where kind of like Dwight is afraid to fall asleep.
Yes, he's afraid to leave him in case he kills himself.
And in a sense, Francis is afraid to fall asleep in case he doesn't wake up again. In case in regards to what if I wake? Well, I find myself there again.
Yeah.
I don't want to be there again, so I have to stay awake this night.
So they stay up talking
survive
and stuff.
To know that if I survive this night, where I'm in this new place, I'm going to be fine.
Yeah.
So they had this night of.
God help me, right?
Talking.
There was just this bit where Francis was polishing the gun on his lap, and it was the way it was filmed. No. I was just, and the way they were talking to each other, I was like, oh, okay. It was just like a brief moment, but it made me laugh.
Yeah,
but
after that,
he gets so much better, doesn't he?
He patches things up with Verity. Yeah, he patches things up with Ross. He tells George to get lost. And he says, "You're not my son's godfather anymore. Bye bye."
Oh God, if only that were true.
Well, yes, but in
Yeah.
And he sets up the mine, reopens the mine with Ross. And things are going all right.
And then they're not.
And then the mine starts having some trouble, but he's optimistic. He thinks he's found something, and then the rug gets pulled out under your feet.
Yeah, and that moment when he
he thinks he's found copper, and he's going along the wall. He's feeling along the wall because he can't, because his candle's not that great. And then his foot slips on a wet bit of rock, and he goes flying into the water, and he can't swim.
Mm.
And there's a jagged nail on the wall, and he manages to grab hold of it, and he's just clinging onto it to dear life. Now, in the book, it's slightly different, because in the book, he hangs on for 4 hours, and the nail gives way, and he drowns. In the TV show, he hangs on, doesn't he? And then he starts having these hallucinations, which you can understand because he's been in very, very cold water for a long time.
And he's tired as well.
Hanging on.
Yeah.
And he thinks he sees Ross coming to him and reaching for him and cousin, take my hand. And he reaches out and lets go with a nail.
Yeah.
And then he's drowned. He's dead.
But in the original TV series, it's
in
all
the
told.
70s.
Yeah, it's all told from Ross's point of view. So they literally just find him drowned. They don't know about that.
Yeah.
But there's the moment when he goes under the water.
Yeah. Well, it's
does
really
he make
it's
the
really,
decision to
well,
do that?
No, because it's really because as I said, the nail gives way, and as you say, he's been cold. He's for hours, and the cold gets to him, and everything at the same time. But in this series, he sees Ross and he reaches for him, and Ross just suddenly flickers out, disappears in a split second, and then that's when he goes. And then he goes under. It's like that. Realize it's not necessarily a breath. Oh my God, I'm going under. I know this is happening. It's kind of he's gone, but I don't understand.
But what was lovely about that
episode? Just sinks.
What was lovely about that episode was Debbie Horsfield did the foreshadowing of both of them as children on the beach,
and you saw how Ross
rescuing him.
Which is told in the book, and how and that thing of. You are told earlier on in the series, and I think in series 1 it's referred to, isn't it? Yes, because Francis slips, he gets angry.
He does,
because he's trying to talk to him.
To Elizabeth.
He's trying to talk to him about the engagement to Elizabeth. Why won't you talk to me? And Ross screams at him, and he slips and falls in the water. And Ross makes the choice to kind of stand there. For
he does, and you think for a second he's going to let him drown.
You're going to let him drown, and then he pulls his cousin out, and he says, "Why did you never learn to swim?" Angrily says it. And then they carry on, and it's never referred to again that he doesn't know how to swim and such. And and then we see Francis drown, and it's like.
But I think for Ross, that is the body blow.
Yeah,
that really is. It's like. He's been through so much. He's gone through the trial. He's gone through Julia's death. He's gone through all of this stuff. And then his cousin dies. And it's a man that Ross had grown to love, actually. He had really bonded with him.
Partner.
Becomes his business, becomes a trusted friend.
Oh, yeah.
Because for a long time, he didn't trust Francis as far as he could throw him.
He couldn't.
And now Francis dies. And it's almost like the bottom falls out of his world.
Oh, yeah.
And yet again, and then that sets up the next big fuck up in the long list of fuck ups that is Ross Poldark.
We're just going to swear every minute in this, aren't we?
Yeah.
Well, do we want to talk about George? Because George will then lead to Elizabeth, which will lead to this, what we're going to talk about. I think that's a really good way of going this video. So let's talk about the epitome of evil that is George. George is, let's just say, when the trial begins, he is set on having Ross go down. He's made a pamphlet which is basically said how he has fathered illegitimate children and how he's married a kitchen wench and all this lot, and basically ripping apart his character. And he goes, in private, I'm printing these. And then he takes one to Elizabeth and Francis and goes, "Oh my gosh, have you seen what is going around town? Slip it to, it's just like, oh, for Christ's sake."
He's horrible.
And then he goes to Elizabeth, "I might be able to find out the joke. Why don't we have a chat with Ross and Demelza? Invite them over to your house and we'll And it's like, what the hell are you doing? And Francis, he turns up at the house when they turn up.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't know that they're going to be there. He doesn't know that George is there.
Yeah.
And he says, and and Ross quickly says, "No, I won't be involved in this," and ends it. And he very quickly says to George, "Will you go in the other room? Just go in the other room, thank you." And then as soon as he's alone with Elizabeth, "What the hell are you thinking?" And gets really angry with her.
But Elizabeth is so naive. She's
stupid.
She is stupid. I mean, don't get me wrong, right? I don't like railing women down, but in her case, she makes the dumbest decision. She is literally the female Ross without the law breaking.
She is.
Because she's so fucking dumb. She's like, I know, I'm going to go and talk to my husband and his cousin's greatest enemy.
Who also is the one who brought him to trial in the first place, to try and save him from the trial. And I think that this is perfectly fine.
Yeah. But she's so self-indulgent. Yeah. She has no common sense. And I don't care. Demelza has no education. She has no social standing as far as her birth is concerned. And yet she herself has enough common sense to know not to trust George Warlegan.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Elizabeth... I see a lot of people kind of defend Elizabeth and say, she was brought up to be a lady and blah, blah, blah. Rubbish. A woman can have common sense who is not from stock, who has been educated.
Yeah.
Elizabeth has very few instincts as far as George's character is concerned.
Yeah.
And once Frances dies, she kind of whores herself out to George. I would argue.
I can understand.
The money is the pull. It's not him. It's the money. It's the standing.
But when you say about the money, key factor. Totally understand that. But also, she sees it as the angle of the protection of her son. Straight off the bat. She needs to know that he'll be okay. So even though you say money straight, I get money from her selfishness, but money straight off in her mind goes to my son. Got to protect my son.
Yes, but I think for her that only goes so far.
But yes, she it is that. But then at the same time, I have to. I can't help but say it again. It's the protection of my son is her angle where she comes from, but the selfishness, what I mean.
Yeah.
But then after Frances, she's been flinging herself at Ross throughout the entire series, hasn't she?
She has not made it unclear.
And she did that thing, and I mentioned it in our video review of the first episode, and I said I don't know if it's true or what, if it's just me overanalyzing something or whatever. But whenever she's around Ross, she wears her hair down, and she does it throughout the series
until the big events, and then she's back to having her hair all the way up. Ice Queen.
Well, by then she's under the thumb of George, isn't she?
She is, and that's tragic. And George, actually,
going back to George, because we didn't really speak much about George then, did we? He is just bent on destroying Ross however he can.
Yeah, he is.
And when Frances turns him away, he does whatever he can to get Elizabeth to like him and still have him accept him as godfather to her son. And then as soon as George is gone, it's like, right, she's mine. I am going to, if I can't get to Ross through law, I can get him another way.
Yeah,
and that's the only reason why he goes for Elizabeth.
And I think
he's flirted with her plenty of times in the past.
But I think he sees her as a trophy.
Yeah.
She's a trophy.
She is a trophy. He's never seen her as someone I love. That's someone I'd like to have on my arm.
Yeah.
And it would really anger Ross.
Yeah.
And that's why he does it.
And I think Elizabeth realises that quite quickly.
Yeah.
But she's also the kind of woman who would rather die than admit that.
Yeah.
I really believe that. I think had Elizabeth had the path she goes down not happened, I think she would have lived in denial about her marriage to George for the rest of her life.
Oh, God, yeah. And he would have ended up either jilting her or, doing that constant thing of bedding prostitutes here, left, right, and centre. She would know about it. Everyone would know about it.
I think Elizabeth is actually probably relatively inexperienced with sex. I very much doubt Frances was a. Well, I don't think they were very active in that area.
No, and if you think about it, wasn't there a sequence or something in? I think was it the first series when he was
sleep with him?
No. That was second series. That was it might be in the end of first series. Yeah. No, but I was just saying when he's getting drunk and gambling and all that lot, where there's an incident with a prostitute.
That
had slept with Ross at the very beginning of the series.
Yes.
Yeah.
She
I was just trying to remember.
Francis.
It wasn't
and George visits her too. George
of course, George visits her.
Yeah.
Yes. So
But I think
it's something that
it's really very difficult really to read Elizabeth's character, which is why Winston Graham is such a great writer, that you can have these completely differing opinions about her. On one level, she's actually a very good woman.
Yeah.
But then on another level, she's not.
Yeah.
She's really not. And that's her flaws are so real, and she's hollow. Yeah. That's the only way I can think about Elizabeth.
Hoodie off, I'm quite hot. I might just turn off the heating.
Yeah,
sorry.
She's hollow, and George knows that.
Yeah.
And he takes advantage of that.
Yeah.
And things transpire.
And the quote on my top, the quote on my top is actually, I think, very much relatable to Demelza.
Oh, yes.
Shakespeare one. Though she be but little, she is fierce.
Yes.
Yeah, she is Demelza.
Demelza is queen.
Demelza is queen. She is the queen. And with Elizabeth,
Queen D.
with George being, and when he then decides to take Elizabeth, he kind of, after the trial, he realises he can't get to Ross through law. So there's no, in a sense, struggle with police and everything and that to do between the two of them. But when he takes on Elizabeth, he then becomes guardian of all of Geoffrey Charles's takes in the mines. He basically gets control of a promissory note to do with Ross's debts, relating to Geoffrey Charles, with him giving money and everything. So he is able to control that element. But Ross is a saviour in the form of Caroline Penvennon, and it was wonderful how they played that out, and the scene when basically Ross has got to get the money to George by a certain time on this day.
That was so good.
And they're waiting for him. And Ross and Demelza come in and they're saying, would you like drinks? And they go, no, we can't. And you think it's that thing, because they believe, oh yes, because you can't afford it, but they don't say that. They're like, oh, okay, that's fine. And Ross saying, oh, I must apologise. And they go, oh, here's the kicker, he hasn't got the money. He's going to go to jail now. I'm going to, Anyway, I'm so sorry that I'm not able to stay long enough, but I just have to give this to you in person and then we'll be on our way. And it's the entire money, which he has got from Caroline Penvennon, but he doesn't know it's Caroline who's giving him the money until at the end of the series.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, sorry I can't stay longer. Have a nice day.
Yeah.
And they just walk out. And it's like, great moment. And Demelza says a line, I can't remember what she says, but it was just perfect. And it was just like, you can't touch me now.
No.
You've got the wife, the trophy. You've got the trophy. Geoffrey Charles has got the money that you can't get to. And what are you going to do to me now?
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
It's
It was So George is in a very odd place with Ross, and they had 2 punch-ups, didn't they? In the series. I wish that one of them they did as was done in the book in regards to what happens at the top of the staircase, and Ross throws him down the stairs.
That would have been fun.
And then he walks down the stairs and steps over him and walks out. And it was like, I wish they'd done that, but wish they had. But George has now done something very sinister to Elizabeth in regards to they're married now, but he took down Francis's portrait.
Yeah.
And now he's made.
Unfortunately, Elizabeth hasn't seen the fact that her
she's in a prison.
She is in a prison.
She's
her
in
husband
a prison
is a cold-blooded lizard who is entrapping her.
Yeah.
In her former husband's home.
Yeah.
And she has no way out.
No.
And it was so cleverly done how she did not see that he would not have Francis Poldark's child in their home.
No.
And Aunt Agatha,
Yeah.
Aggie, my queen, the queen bee, love her.
Aggie, she was
like, are you dumb? Are you like literally? Ugh.
Yeah.
And like, why didn't you see that?
Elizabeth was so upset when he said to send Geoffrey Charles to boarding school, and his justification about how he'll be making way for our true blood children, and it was just like,
but
snake. That leads us into the catastrophic event that happens in regards to So Ross has been giving after Francis died. He's been giving as much money as he can, even though he's very heavily in debt, and they've had to sell all their possessions in order to pay the mortgage and all this lot because of George with the promissory note. But he's been donating money to Elizabeth in the form of an anonymous benefactor to Geoffrey Charles.
So to put that in other language, he has been taking money away from his poverty-stricken wife and child
who are having to hide stuff in the floorboards
who are having to hide food
in order to make sure that they've got stuff for the next month.
Yeah.
They've got to hide it from them, else they'll eat it.
Yes.
They have to do that in order to make sure they survive another month. Yeah. And he's been taking whatever money that they've got and giving it to Elizabeth,
who is living in Trenwith, who doesn't think to herself, I'll invite Ross and Demelza and Jeremy to live at Trenwith because I have 50 million rooms. Most of which are not
Jeremy's been born by then. They've had another child during this,
and he grew up.
Series.
Like 3 years flew by in like an episode.
Yeah, but the book spans like 4 years, so they have to do that. It's the way it is.
But so he's siphoning money from his poverty-stricken family to give it to Elizabeth anonymously.
Do you know what is really weird? How before we get onto the event, how they're selling their possessions and everything.
Yeah.
And Demelza says, "We can sell my necklace. It's worth £100," and he's really angry about that. And he's like, "No, we're not doing that. It was a present. It was a love present to you." Yet he's taking that and he's taking whatever that little money that they got and giving it to Elizabeth.
He's so proud. Yeah. He really is so incredibly proud and headstrong. And so he's giving this money away to Elizabeth. And then all this stuff with George happens. And he can't stand it. No. He cannot stand the idea that Elizabeth is moving on away from him.
She gave him a certain... she wrote a letter, but it never got to Ross. And in this letter, she basically gave him would say an ultimatum to basically come and get her, or she'd have to deal with this certain situation herself. And her solution to that is to marry George. And so she writes him another letter and says, "I'm engaged to George Morlagan. This is basically your fault. I want nothing to do with you anymore. Whatever feelings or..." She kept on telling him throughout the series how she regretted marrying Francis and how they should have married, and it was just like, oh my God,
regardless of how you feel about the event, and I will say now,
we're not going to give our opinion on it.
But whatever you feel about that, whether you believe that was consensual or not, is entirely up to you.
Yeah.
And I see the argument for both cases.
But to finish what I was just saying about how she's been throwing herself at him, and then she pulls it out of the way and goes, "No, sorry, I don't like you. Leave me alone. Don't go near me." So of course, what does Ross do? He is so angry. He goes straight to her house, and it's at night, and he doesn't come home until the next morning.
The thing is,
gonna go back to
the thing is that she is writing to a married man whose child died because his wife was tending her child and her husband when they were ill.
Yeah. And child contracted the same thing and died.
He's married.
Yeah, he's married.
Not
he's had
available
another child. They've had another child. She has been openly flirting with him and saying we should have gotten married, and bringing up all of this past and trying to get them together. And then she said,
and then,
by the way, I'm marrying someone else. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
He's not going to. So it's kind of
she's playing games with him.
Yeah, she kind of, in a sense. I think she knew that when she wrote that letter and sent it, he would be coming to see her.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Whether you then feel that what happened afterwards was consensual or not is a matter of opinion, and your opinion is completely valid. Yeah. Now,
we're not going to say how we feel about it.
No. But the thing is it's what happens after that with Ross.
Yes.
That I was like, are you having a laugh? You have been giving this woman money. You go and see her. You then come back to your wife and say to her, "You must see I had no choice."
Yeah. But I think it's in that moment, it's the worst thing you could have possibly said. And too rightly, she punched him across the face, and he properly fell on the floor, and he was
with a closed
shocked.
fist.
Yeah, he was really taken aback by that. But I think in that moment when he says, "You must have seen, that I had no choice." I think it's that thing that he meant in going round there, and is kind of naive in regards to that she would think that they just went round and they just argued all night.
Yeah.
Whereas she's not that stupid.
She's not dumb.
She's not Elizabeth, she's completely stupid.
I think that's the problem, that Ross
doesn't understand.
Does not understand how smart his wife is. Yeah. And can we just give the cast a moment of well done, you all did spectacular jobs. But Demelza's response is perfect because she freezes him. She doesn't cry and shout. She does shout a little bit, to be fair.
But that's because he says something again that he really shouldn't have, and it's just for Christ's sake, Ross.
It's like rubbing salt in the wounds.
The next day, he comes into their bedroom, and she's there on the bed having breakfast with Jeremy. And she's like
having a passive-aggressive cup of tea. It's wonderful. I live for it.
And he's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "We're having breakfast. We may stay in bed all day. We may not want to do the chores today. What do you think, Jeremy? Should we stay in bed all day?" Yeah. And it was just like, and you'll hear why.
Yeah.
And she just stared, and they just stare at each other, and then it's like.
It's like she says at the end of the last episode, before he does his big speech, which means that she not forgives him, but doesn't treat him like crap anymore.
Yeah.
And she says, "It's not about what you choose, it's about what I choose."
Yeah.
She's taking control back from Elizabeth, from Ross, because they've both, to a greater or lesser degree, have seen Demelza as being below them. And you can't deny that about Ross either. As much as he loves Demelza, there is still a little bit of him that sees her as a kitchen maid, I think.
Yeah.
Not now at the end of the series. I think once he says to Demelza, she will never come between us again, he absolutely means it.
Yeah.
I think when Demelza, particularly when she tells him about Hugh Bedruggan at the ball, and he realises she really could have gone off with him.
Yeah. And she didn't.
And she didn't. She stayed. He realises, I think, how badly he messed up. Yeah. Really, I don't think he understood what he had done. Yeah. Which is insane. Yeah. But that's part of who he is. It is part of his character.
Yeah, and I kind of it's really strange the post-event relationship and how it affects other people around them as well. Like Prudy becomes quite interesting towards Ross. Let's put it that way.
They drag Ross at every available opportunity. Because that's right. Because he comes in and he says, "Where's Demelza?" He goes, "She's gone out." Where? I don't know. Why? Why? Because she can.
Yeah. And doesn't she? Isn't there a sequence? I think it is in series 2 that Demelza's away with Verity's because she's going to be having a baby soon. We'll talk about Verity in a minute. And Prudy's burnt the pie. It's just like, it's like, I've got no food to eat. It's like they can't cook. It's well, that's what happens when your lovely wife who can cook very well goes away because you've completely screwed everything up, didn't it?
And so, he does, but I mean the last speech he gives when he says to Demelza, "I messed up.
Yeah. Elizabeth
was my first perfect love, but you are my real love."
Yeah.
She's his soulmate.
Yeah.
And he doesn't say, "I'm sorry."
Yeah.
But he does say that he is devoted to her and only her.
And I love the fact that it's literally the last minute that it happens in.
I mean,
because the scene before, that's just when he gives his speech.
Yeah.
She's packing her bags.
She's going.
And Jeremy's. She's packed trunks.
She's
leaving him. And it's raining outside. And, oh, God, it's beautiful cinematography because the front door's wide open and it's raining and all this stuff. And
it only just occurs to him that that's what she's doing.
Yeah.
He's just so blind to so much.
Yeah.
And I think this experience...
And it's so funny that the only place that she can go is her father's house. Her father's house.
Who's horrible.
In the past, he was abusive. He's still horrible to her, but he's a man of God now,
he's
isn't
an
he?
Evangelical minister, isn't he?
But she finds that being there is better than being with Ross.
Isn't
and it's
that
like
awful?
Hearing that, it's like, God, that's just, you know. And,
that's pretty hard for him to hear, isn't it?
And I love that the fact that the final shot is them on the edge of the cliff, standing the exact way that they stood when they said goodbye to Julia at the end of the first series.
But did you notice, like, they're stood on solid rock, they're together, they're not happy, and yet the storm clouds of war and the ships in the distance are there. But I mean, like, Ross was willing, he was going to leave himself, he was going to go back to the army.
He was, he
thought about going back, and when he was doing that, I mean, I have seen the 70s series, but they handled it so differently.
Yeah, the 70s series, he also wrote in a load of stuff that isn't even in the books.
Yeah.
So it's, you know.
But so he just got really annoyed that Demelza was treating him badly, despite the fact he didn't understand that what he had done was the reason why she was treating him that way. Yeah. And he was going to go back into the army, and she just kind of goes, well, if you're going to go, go. I don't care.
Right.
Like, why should I care?
Yeah.
Why should I care if a man who has been disloyal to me then chooses to be disloyal again by going into the army and leaving me and his son behind? Yeah. Why should I give a shit? Yeah. Why should I care?
Yeah.
And he's like, but you're supposed to ask me to stay. I think that was part of it for him. I think that's what he wanted her to do.
Right.
And she refuses to, because why would she?
Yeah. God. Right, can we just talk about one last character? Verity.
Verity had a baby.
Verity had a baby, little baby boy.
Even though Andrew.
Even though they don't say that it's a boy or give his name in the series at all.
I love
There's a little boy called Andrew.
I love the way they give birth in the series. Oh, baby. It's literally that quick.
To be fair, she had a labour pain and then they didn't do anything else. Whereas with Demelza, they kind of, honestly, with her
literally the 5-minute ride back, she had her.
Yeah, but it's a bit different in the book. It's quite significant.
No, I know that.
But yeah, Verity's doing good. She met, because obviously she got married at the end of the first series. Her stepchildren, her stepson's really lovely. Her stepdaughters are annoying little cow. But after that initial meet, she does grow to like Verity, and she's there when Verity goes into labour and such, because Andrew's away, so he's not able to be there. So she's there, and so is Demelza and little Jeremy, So she's good. She's happy. She was a great support to Demelza again.
She was.
Throughout, she turned up to pick her up for the trial at Bodmin.
But Demelza, to her credit, never told Verity what Ross had done. Did she?
No, she couldn't say it. She couldn't say it. No. But I have to say, but I think Verity gave us a wonderful speech. She had an amazing moment, and it's from the book. Heart wants what it wants, even
if that might hurt.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it was a great moment, she said it to Demelza when she was packing to go home. And when Demelza got home, she gave Judd Jeremy to drop me off near Trenwith, and she went and she spoke to Elizabeth, and it was ultimate.
That scene was amazing.
Ultimate scene between those two.
Eleanor Tomlinson slayed that
God.
scene.
And Heidi. She did. Haida. Yeah, Haida Reid. Haida Reid. Did an amazing job as well, because Elizabeth comes out and she stands there and she's very straight-backed and she's like, I am the mistress of this house, kind of thing. Yeah. And Melcy's just stand there and she's like, look, you may like my husband, but he's my husband. Back off, bitch. She basically like,
I don't think it's even that, is it? It's like, you know what? You want him, you have him.
Yeah.
I don't care. Yeah. Because I think Demelza kind of realises that the only true loyalty she has now is to herself and her son. And that's it.
Yeah.
As long as Jeremy's taken care of. Yeah. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
And I think Elizabeth's really, really quite taken aback by that. And Elizabeth does this thing after the big event.
Yeah.
Of waiting for Ross.
Yeah.
She waits and she waits and she waits and she wants him to offer her something.
Yeah.
Demelza never waits for Ross.
No.
I think that's why I respect her so much, is that she accepts circumstances as they happen and she chooses for herself and doesn't wait for someone else to choose her as Elizabeth does.
Yeah, and then going forward into the next series, Elizabeth has discovered that she's pregnant. And she has this moment, and it's in the book, and it's like, I'm sorry, Elizabeth, are you really that stupid? Seriously?
Lizzie, we need to talk about biology, darling.
Yes, she's gone pregnant and she has absolutely no consideration or, never even crossed her mind that it might be Ross's child.
No.
And it's only until Aunt Agatha says, well, what are you going to do if it arrives a month early? And she went, well, why would it arrive a month early? And she gave her a look. She just went like this, Laura. She just went.
Yeah, like... Really?
And then that's when a thunderstorm was happening. Yeah. It was like, look into the fire. Oh my God.
And like the flames were like up
her face, and it was just like.
It's like Aunt Aggie was going, I'm an 83-year-old virgin and I know how babies are made.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean?
Well, and it was like, I was in this house when that happened. I heard everything. Yeah. Do you really think?
I bet Aunt Agatha probably wrote down the date and everything. I bet you she did. She had a journal and wrote down the date. I bet you.
So now Elizabeth is in a prison.
Yeah.
She can't get out of. Her son is being taken away from her, and now she's pregnant, and she doesn't know if it's her husband's or not.
Yeah.
So, and Demelza and Ross are somewhat okay.
But like they know she's pregnant, but it's almost like they don't talk about it.
Yeah.
Don't they?
Yeah.
They just
throughout.
Yeah. They just kind of
the end of the 12th book.
Okay. They don't talk about it because it's one thing for a man to sleep with a woman who is not his wife. Yeah. It's another for that woman to have his child.
Yeah.
Because that's almost even more of a betrayal, particularly when that couple have lost a baby.
Yeah.
I mean, they've had another one in the interim.
Yeah.
But pregnancy and children are particularly sensitive topics to Demelza, aren't they?
Oh, yeah.
Very. So for him to betray her not just once, but twice over is too painful for her to deal with. And I think perhaps that is the limit of Demelza's endurance as far as that subject is concerned.
Yeah.
And, I mean, this series has the most beautiful arc from beginning to middle to end. It's so fluid and beautiful.
Yeah.
And
give it up to Winston Gray and give it up to Debbie for her amazing
Debbie Horsfield did such a good job.
Can I please give it up to cinematography, lighting, the
music, and Dudley's music was beautiful.
And then going into the cast for their amazing
work, amazing job.
I said especially the bloody crew for doing those absolutely beautiful helicopter shots. I have to say, I feel if I was on the crew, and being someone who admire it, I am desperate for various crew, not necessarily the actors to get, because even though they were absolutely amazing, and if they get awards for this, brilliant. But there's so much emphasis on cast awards and not the crew, and I really want the crews to get awards for this because they did an absolutely phenomenal job.
They did. I mean,
phenomenal.
It was a huge hit, massive hit.
Yeah.
So I think season 3.
And it was and it was nice because they'd already started shooting when series 2 was in like the second week of airing. So there was a preview for series 3 at the end, which was so nice. And it's not on the freaking DVD.
It was epic. I literally squealed.
It's not on the DVD.
Right.
And
maybe, but then because the DVD would have been printed a week before.
Yeah,
so
they may not have had it.
No.
So, but yeah, the series 3 preview looks good.
It does.
Exciting.
But I assume that Ross keeps his promise that he never goes back to Elizabeth. He doesn't, does he? He's never unfaithful to Demelza.
Oh no, no, never unfaithful. No, God no. No, this is going forward. You've got. Well, as far as I know, it's going to go up to the middle of episode. Sorry, not episode. Book 6, isn't it?
Is that the Four Swans?
Yeah, the middle of it.
Yeah.
And then the next series will be the rest of that book and book 7. Now, the reason why, because instead of doing the 2-book convention thing, is that between book 7, because of how it ends, there's a certain event. We won't say what it is or anything, but there's a certain event, and then the next book jumps 10 years. Yeah. So it makes sense to do that jump between the series rather than in the middle of the series. Yeah. So, yeah. So that's why they're doing that. So it's kind of more to do with the war and going forward.
It's going to be interesting to see how they age the actors as well. Yeah. And I really do hope they age them because a lot of things when there is a time jump, like I'm not being funny, like the X-Men films, there's 10 years between each of them and they don't age at all. In fact, in X-Men Apocalypse, Charles Xavier looks younger than he did in the 60s, doesn't he?
Okay, yeah.
To be fair.
Yeah. But, but yeah, we'll just have to see.
It was amazing. Amazing series, amazing character development, and it was
I got this DVD early.
You did,
because Amazon very nicely dispatched it on the Friday before the last episode aired, so I got it the following day. So I watched the finale 3 times before it actually aired. Yeah. So
and you messaged me. We were like, "Oh my god, it was amazing! It was so beautiful.
It was so beautiful. And can I just say one little thing that we didn't mention? I love the fact that Julia is very present throughout the series. Not just that reference to her at the very beginning in the first episode, because obviously it's only been like a week or something since she died. So it'd be very weird if Demelza didn't refer to her. But she is felt through and even like little things like Demelza's always picking fresh flowers and she puts a fresh flower on her bed.
And things like when she's singing to Jeremy. She's singing to Julia as well. It's beautiful. It's really, really... And Dudley, the composer, and Dudley, can I just ask, can you, make Eleanor Tomlinson sing at least 3 songs per series, please? Because I need that song that she's singing to Jeremy. And guess what? It's not on the deluxe edition of the music. Again, because next year they'll bring out another CD.
I don't know, maybe in the next one. I don't know. No, I can't say. I know. But anyway, we're going to round up because we've been nearly an hour. But yeah, it was absolutely amazing. Awesome. Really loved it. Well done, everyone. Especially the crew.
Yes.
Absolutely everything that they did. Cannot wait for series 3. And I'm going to say this kind of, obviously, because I know what's going to happen in the books. Let's hope it's a less bumpy ride. in comparison, let's hope it's a less bumpy ride.
I don't think it will be somehow, but alright then.
Alright then.
Alright, thank you.
I hope you enjoyed this.
Bye.
Bye.